Hi, thank you for joining us for the second in this series of trauma-sensitive yoga classes. Today we're working with this part of the protocol of reclaiming the body, the second part of the protocol, and it's called befriending the body. And here you'll hear a lot of language of invitation and language of inquiry. So the invitation here is simply an opportunity for you to choose which poses feel right for you, which poses don't feel right for you in this moment, and then also to choose to inquire into whatever your experience is at any given moment in any pose that you choose. And keeping in mind that this is your practice, if something doesn't feel right for you, please feel free to leave it out. Rest if you want to rest. Throughout the practice, I'll be offering you modifications as well. So I think that we can begin when everybody's ready. Yeah, looks like everyone's ready. Okay. So to begin, I'll invite you to find a comfortable seated position, whatever that is for you. Bringing your hands to rest wherever you like. Your eyes could be closed or open as we begin to establish our breathing for the practice and get grounded. If it feels right for you, gently bringing your mouth to close and beginning to draw slow, deep breaths in and out through your nose. Deepening the inhale and lengthening the exhale. Observing the sensation of your breath in your body. And to begin, I invite you to notice your sitting bones in contact with the floor, the cushion or the block. Simply tuning into this point of connection as you breathe. And from here, if it feels right for you, drawing your awareness up to the center of your body, just below your navel. And if you like, you could bring one or both hands to rest here at the center of your body in order to sense this area more fully. Being present to the way that the hand feels resting at the lower belly, if you've chosen to bring one or both hands here. Simply tuning into the sensation. And you may choose to direct your belly down to direct your breath down into your belly. So that with the inhale, the belly expands, and with the exhale, the belly draws in. Deep belly breaths. The center of your body. And finally, in your own time, shifting your attention up to the top of your head, lengthening up through the top of your head. And paying attention to any sensation as you lengthen the spine. Bringing the hands to rest comfortably now, and with eyes closed or open. On an exhale, releasing the right ear towards the right shoulder, breathing here, allowing the weight of the head. The shoulders relax down and away from the ears, being present to any sensation that arises for you here. It may arise in the neck or the shoulder or elsewhere. Knowing that you can come out at any time, or staying for my count of 2, and 1. And with your inhale, floating the head to center, pausing for a moment here. Notice how you feel. As you're ready, with the exhale, releasing the left ear to the left shoulder and breathing here. Observing any differences in sensation from one side to the other. And slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. Two. And 1. And with your inhale, floating the head back to center and pausing here. Taking a moment now to check in and notice which foot you have in front if you're seated in easy pose, and extending the legs out, shaking them out a little bit. When we come into the other side, the opposite foot will be in front if you were sitting in a cross-legged or easy pose. Good. All right, let's come on into the other side. Releasing the fingertips down onto the earth. And when you're ready, with the inhale, sweeping the right arm up and extending the fingertips up towards the sky. Good. With your exhale, releasing over to the left. So we come on into a side bend here. You may choose to keep the palm on the floor or release the forearm right down onto the floor. Yeah. And I encourage you to keep the right sitting bone connected to the earth as you breathe here. Lovely. And once again, Scanning the body, where does sensation arise for you here, and what is the nature of that sensation? You may choose to go a little deeper into the pose or to come out for the last couple breaths. Breathing 2. Breathing 1. And inhaling, extending the fingertips up to the sky. Exhaling, release. All right, coming on into the other side. With your inhale, sweeping the left arm up, extend the fingers up to the sky. With your exhale, releasing over. Good. To the left side and breathing, finding your variation here. And keeping in mind that wherever you're at in your practice today is just perfect. And is there a difference in sensation from one side to the other? If so, what is that? And the left sitting bone stays rooted. Reaching through the fingertips for the last couple breaths. 2. And 1. Inhaling, extending the fingertips up. Good. Exhaling, release. Lovely. And on the next inhale, sweeping the arms up overhead. Interlacing the fingers. Good. Pressing the palms away up towards the sky. Good. Drawing the low rib cage in a little bit here, creating space across the shoulders, perhaps releasing the shoulders down. Slow, deep breaths. And where does sensation arise for you here? Where do you notice this pose? And from here, on an exhale, releasing the arms and bringing the body into a twist to the right. So the left hand crosses over midline to the right knee. The right hand comes behind you, close into the low back. Inhaling to lengthen up through the top of the head. Exhaling, turning to look over the right shoulder. Breathing here. Good. And as you breathe here, I invite you to inquire into the body and notice. Is there a part of the body where you could bring the breath in order to release, relax, and let it go? Breathing for 3. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 1. With your inhale, sweeping the arms back up overhead, interlacing the fingers as we bring the torso back to center, pressing the palms away. Good. Knowing that it's fine to rest here or at any other point in the practice, letting your comfort guide you. The face is soft, breath is deep and steady. When you're ready on the exhale, releasing the arms as you come into your twist to the left. So this time the right hand crosses over midline over to the left knee, the left hand behind you close into the low back, with the inhale lengthening up through the top of the head, with the exhale turning to look over the left shoulder and breathing. Being aware of any differences in sensation from one side to the other. You may notice more ease in the left or the right side. Knowing that you can come out at any time or staying for my count. 3, 2, 1. Bringing the body back to center now. Good, nice work. From here, I'll invite you to come into a comfortable tabletop position. If you're not comfortable in tabletop, please feel free to stay in seated, and I'll give you a modification in a moment. If you are comfortable in tabletop, the hands are lined up under the shoulders, the fingers spread wide, and the knees about hips width apart. You could have the tops of the feet flat on the floor or tuck the toes under, that's up to you. We'll start to move into our cat-cow stretches. Inhaling, tipping the tail, dropping the belly, looking up. Exhaling, curling the tail under, rounding the spine, releasing the weight of the head. We draw the navel in here. Inhale, tipping the tail, dropping the belly and looking up. Exhale, curling the tail under, rounding the spine, releasing the weight of the head. Continuing on now with this flow at your own pace. And seated variation. Hands come to rest on the knees. Exhaling. Rounding the spine, rounding the shoulders, releasing the chin towards the chest, let all the air out. Inhaling, lengthening the spine, bringing the heart center forward, tilting the chin up, look up, and that's the flow. Exhaling to round, good. Inhaling to lift, lengthen, and look up. So simply carrying on at your own pace in whichever variation feels right for your body. And you may notice that there's a point in this cycle, or perhaps in other cycles that we come through, where it feels right to hold part of the pose and breathe. Please feel free to explore that or any other kind of movement or stillness that naturally arises for you in your practice. Or continue to flow for my count. 3, 2, 1. In your own time, coming back to a neutral spine, pausing here. And as you're ready, bringing the big toes to touch, separating the knees a little wider apart. The tops of the feet will be flat on the floor here. Good. And pressing back now. Releasing the seat towards the heels, and the forehead may come to rest on stacked hands, stacked palms, or with the forehead released to the earth. Breathing here. Slow, deep breaths in and out through the nose. And checking in. What arises for you here? Where in the body is the sensation of this pose very pronounced? Where in the body is there very little sensation? Breathing 3, 2, and 1. Gently, with the inhale, coming back up to a tabletop position if that's comfortable for you. A seated position if you prefer. If you're in tabletop, then the knees are lined up under the ankles, or under the hips, and the hands are lined up under the shoulders. And if you have a prop or a block on your mat, I invite you to remove that now as we move into standing practice. Great. So if you're in a tabletop position, tucking the toes under. Good. And beginning to leverage back into the feet and into the toes. Stretching the feet and the toes. Breathing here. And if you've chosen to stay in seated, you could extend the legs out in front of you and begin to draw the toes back towards you here. Yeah, finding a tall seated position. Great. Remembering to breathe. And the sensation that arises here can be quite intense. Just know that you have choices to come out at any time or stay for my count of 3, 2, and 1. And from this position, with an inhale, slowly unfolding the legs, lengthening, beaming the sitting bones back, and releasing the weight down through the heels. Good. Feet are about hips width apart here. I'm going to stand up and just check out how it's going, and you may choose to alternate, bending in the right knee and then in the left. Good. Fingers spread wide. Hands about shoulders width apart. And the gaze could be behind you, between the knees, so that the weight of the head is really released. Beautiful. And we're breathing here. And once again, noticing sensation. Breathing for 3. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 1. And from here, with your next inhale, sweeping the right leg up behind you and taking a long extension. With your exhale, stepping that right foot forward to the top of the mat and landing here in your lunge. Now, you may choose to stay here. Of course, another variation is to bring that mat over, should you need a little extra padding on your knee, and to drop the left knee, yeah, and be in a more supported position here. Great. And again, you may choose to stay rather low in your variation of lunge, or to bring the hands up onto the thigh. Find a tall spine up through the crown of the head, breathing here. Beaming back through the heel, finding the breath. Good. Knowing that you have choices in everything that we do here. Resting if you need to rest. Sweeping the arms up overhead if that's what you choose to explore. Yeah, noticing how this feels. Breathing for 3. Beautiful. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 1. With your exhale, releasing the palms back down onto the mat, stepping the right foot back and walking it out a little bit. And you may choose to come back down into a resting pose. That's fine too. And I invite you to explore any kind of movement that naturally arises for you here. In your own time, on the next inhale, raising the left leg up behind you, taking a long extension here. And with the exhale, stepping that left foot through to the top of the mat and land. Now, what you choose on this side may be different than what you chose on the other, and that's fine. You could bring the mat over in order to bring some extra padding to the knee, should you choose to drop the knee to the floor. You may choose to stay low in your lunge here. Another variation is to bring the hands up onto the thigh. Yeah. Continue to beam back through the heel and breathe here. Lovely. The breath is deep and steady, the face relaxed. Sweeping the arms up overhead. Finding your breath here. Being present to any differences in sensation from one side to the other. Breathing 2. Breathing 1. Exhaling, releasing the palms back down onto the earth. And when you're ready, stepping the left foot back. Good. Feeling free to come into a resting pose if that's what's appropriate for your body. Otherwise, breathing here. And you may notice heat beginning to arise in the body, or a change in the rhythm of your breath. With the exhale, looking forward. With the inhale, stepping the feet to the top of the mat. Exhaling, nose to knees, a soft bend in the knees here. With your next inhale, sweeping the arms forward and up. Come on up, look up. With your exhale, bringing the hands back down to the heart. And releasing the arms down alongside the body with the palms facing forward. Good, finding your breath. The feet a comfortable distance apart, perhaps hips width. Good. Eyes could be closed or open. Noticing the soles of your feet rooted to the earth. Observing the center of your body, just below your navel. Good. And finding length up through the top of your head. Slowly with the inhale, sweeping the arms up, interlacing the fingers, index fingers extended, thumbs crossed. With the exhale, releasing side bend over to the right and breathing here. You may choose to deepen into this pose or to soften out of it a little bit. Noticing how it feels. Breathing 2. Good. Breathing 1. With your inhale, back to center. With your exhale, releasing the arms back down alongside the body. Palms face forward, breathing here. Being present to the sensation of the body settling. And from here, I'll invite you once again to sweep the arms up overhead, interlacing the fingers, index fingers extended, thumbs crossed. Exhaling, releasing, side bend over to the left. Good. Well, what's different here? Slow, deep breaths. 2 and 1. Inhaling to center. Exhaling, releasing the arms back down alongside the body. And again, inhaling, circling the arms up. So we're just moving into a little bit of a flow with the arms here. Resting if you need to. Exhaling, releasing the arms back down alongside the body. And that'll be the flow. A few rounds, simply inhaling, sweeping the arms up. We link the movement of the body with the breath. Exhaling, releasing the arms back down. How does this feel? What arises for you here? As you inhale. And exhale. Good. And inhale, circling the arms up. Palms come to touch. Look up. Exhale, soft forward fold. So we bring a micro bend into the knees as we hinge at the hips. You may release the hands to the earth. You may choose to take hold of the elbows. Another variation here is to bend the knees more deeply and rest the elbows on deeply bent knees. Simply finding the variation that's right for your body today and breathing. Yes, and noticing here. Knowing that if there's any discomfort, it's fine to come out of this pose. Or staying for my count of 3, 2, and 1. If you have hold of the elbows, I invite you to release them now. Let the arms hang heavy for a moment. The knees bent a little more deeply as you draw the navel in towards the spine, keeping the belly drawn in as you slowly roll up to standing. Letting the head and the neck and the shoulders be the last part of the body to come on up to the top, keeping the belly active through the entire process. Good. And once you're up at the top, rolling the shoulders out a little bit. Any direction is fine. You may choose stillness here or some other kind of movement, and that's fine too. You could change the direction of your shoulder rolls. All right, and making your way up to the top of the mat now. I'll bring you through a couple of standing poses and then we'll start to bring the practice down. So coming into your equal standing pose, so the big toes could come to touch here and the heels are separated an inch or 2 apart. The hands could come together in front of the heart or the solar plexus. Good. And just tuning into your breath. And once again, observing how the breath feels in the body. All right. When you're ready, on the inhale, taking a long stride back with the left foot, landing with the big toe and the big toe mound, back foot at about 45 degrees, and pause. Great. So we're preparing to come into Warrior One. Good. Working with the intention of squaring the hips off to the front of the mat. So the right hip is drawn back, the left hip, just energetically comes forward. Good. When you're ready, inhaling to deepen into your lunge and sweep the arms up overhead, breathing here. Great. And if you like, you could look down, check out that front knee. We want to just be able to see the big toe here. That's usually pretty good positioning for the leg. Great, you got it. Lovely. And we're breathing here. Is there any room to create space in the shoulders? Could you release them down a little? Find some softness in the elbows, in the face. Noticing the heat that arises, the effort. Breathing for 3. Breathing for 2. And 1. Bringing the hands back down to heart center or in front of the solar plexus, coming up onto the ball of the left foot in order to spring forward to the top of the mat, equal standing pose, and pause. Lovely work. Coming into the next. When you're ready, taking a long stride back with the right foot and land with the big toe and the big toe mound, setting yourself up for a moment. So we draw the left hip back. Gently bringing the right hip forward. With your inhale, deepening into your lunge, sweeping the arms forward and up, breathing here. Inquiring into any differences in sensation, in flexibility, in ease, from one side to the other. And know that it's normal for there to be differences. Take a moment to look down and see how the knee is tracking over the ankle. Rooting and extending upwards for 3. Broadening across the back body for 2. Deepening the breath for 1. And bringing the hands back down to center, coming up onto the ball of the right foot to transition to equal standing pose at the top of the mat. Beautiful. Good. Let's start to bring it down. Inhaling, circling the arms up, look up. And when you're ready, exhaling forward, soft knees, hinging at the hips, fingertips towards the earth. With your inhale, looking forward, lengthening the spine. Yeah. With your exhale, stepping back, finding a high plank position, and it's fine to tap the knees down to the earth here. Good. Or stay in a high plank. And wherever you are on your next exhale, lowering down onto the belly. Palms lined up right around the middle of the rib cage here, fingers spread wide. On the next inhale, lifting the head, lifting the heart. The gaze is about 2 feet in front of you along the floor. The back of the neck stays long. Breathing 3, lovely. Keep the elbows drawn in close to the body. Breathing 2. And breathing 1. With the exhale, releasing the forehead towards the earth. With the inhale, pressing up. Releasing back. Walking the hands back. Forehead releases to the earth. Now you may choose to keep the arms extended out in front of you or to bring them alongside the legs. That's up to you. Good. If you'd like to use a bolster here to support you, that's fine. Letting the shoulders round and release. And then does this pose feel any different from the variation that we did earlier in the class? Breathing 2. Breathing 1. Bringing the hands to rest near the knees, using the palms to slowly press up. You may choose to stay in this kneeling position or in another comfortable seated position. A further variation could be to come to a high kneeling position, okay? So simply find what works for your body and know that it's okay to shift that throughout this shoulder warm up here that we're going to do, this shoulder stretch. When you're ready, with the inhale, sweeping the arms up about shoulders height to a T. Exhaling, crossing the right arm over the left. Working to cross the arms pretty high up here, okay? So that one shoulder or one elbow is above the other, if that works for you today. From here, bending the elbows and the palms face out. Good. Keeping the palms facing out as we cross the wrists and either bring the palms to touch or hold on to the thumb, or you may even be in a place where the wrists aren't crossing yet, and that's just fine. Good. Lifting the elbows a little higher. Good. Making sure that the forearms aren't sort of really close in towards the nose. Great. And breathing. The gaze here traditionally is straight ahead. You may feel more comfortable with the eyes closed. Pressing the elbows in towards one another. Looking at where sensation arises, what's happening with the breath. For 2. For 1. Exhaling and release. Good, and again, rolling the shoulders out a little bit, letting that go. And if you'd like to change your seated position for the other side, you can do that. Changing the direction of your shoulder rolls. You're doing great. Let's come on into the other side in your own time. Inhaling to sweep the arms up, shoulders height to a T. Exhaling, left arm comes on top of the right. And again, we're working to cross the arms pretty high up here so that one elbow is above the other. Yeah. Bending the elbows, palms face out. Good. Keeping the palms facing out, and we'll cross the wrists. Yeah, the palms may come to touch. You may take hold of the thumb, or perhaps the palms are even further apart today. Wherever you're at is great. Yeah, lifting the elbows a little higher. Forearms are released away from the face. Good. The breath is deep and steady. And notice if it changes the pose at all when you press the elbows into one another. And if so, how does that change the pose? What arises in the body? Breathing 2. Breathing 1. Great work. Exhale and release. Let it go. Roll it out. Feel free to explore any movement that naturally arises for you here. And if you're kneeling and it makes sense for your body, you could release down onto one hip. Extend the legs out in front. Preparing to come into a final forward fold, and then we'll bring the practice down and move into relaxation. Good. So for forward fold, starting with the hands, just released comfortably alongside the hips with the fingertips facing forward. Keeping the feet active by drawing the toes back towards you gently. Good. With your inhale, circling the arms up. With your exhale, coming into a soft forward fold. Hands come to land wherever it feels right for your body. Good. And breathing. My count for this pose will be a little slower. We'll hold this one for a little longer. Please know that you can deepen into the pose or soften out of it according to your comfort level. Breathing 3. Two. And 1. And slowly with the inhale, come on up. And planting the palms behind you about 8 inches with the fingertips facing forward or back if that's more appropriate for your wrists today. Good. We'll come on through a back bend here, and there's several different variations, so you can explore which one feels right for you. The first variation is simply to be here, to draw the shoulder blades together behind you and to open up the front of the chest, keeping the gaze forward or up, okay? Simply being cautious not to drop the head back. Another variation is to bend the knees. Bring the soles of the feet onto the floor. Yeah, feet about hips width apart, and come on up into a comfortable reverse tabletop position, keeping the gaze forward. Good. Yeah, let's actually keep it to one of those two variations today. Breathing here for 3. Lovely. Breathing for 2. Breathing for 1. And we release out of this very slowly, releasing the seat towards the floor. Great. All right. And in your own time, coming down onto your back. Once you're down, resting on your back, hugging the knees in towards the belly, and rocking gently side to side. And here, as in all of the poses that we do, if there's another kind of movement that naturally arises for you, feel free to explore that. Great. Completing our practice today, well, our second to last pose will be a twist. Now, if there's a variation of twist that's a part of your practice and you'd like to explore that, please feel free to do so. If you'd like to follow along with me, I'll request that you release the soles of your feet to the floor a little bit wider than the hips, extending the arms out, shoulders height to a T with the palms face down. With your exhale, simply releasing the knees over to the right. Yeah, and turning to look over the left shoulder. Eyes could be closed or open as you breathe. Noticing how this feels. Breathing 2. And 1. Inhaling, rolling the head to center, rolling the knees to center, and finding midline. When you're ready, on the exhale, releasing the knees over to the left, turning to look over the right shoulder, and breathing here. Being present to differences in sensation in this pose from one side to the other. Perhaps one side of the body feels more open, or there may be no difference that you're aware of at all. And from here, and gently rolling the head to center, rolling the knees to center. Good. If you like, you could draw the knees in towards the belly one last time and rock gently from side to side. From here, we'll begin to move into relaxation. And we'll be in relaxation for about 4 minutes. Traditionally, one practices relaxation lying on one's back with the legs extended comfortably out along the mat, the arms released a comfortable distance away from the body and the palms face up. If lying on your back is not appropriate for you today, it's fine to lie on your side or your belly or even stay in seated. Your eyes could be closed or open here. Taking a long inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth, to release the intentional breathing for the practice. Simply letting the breath arise naturally now. We'll be here for about 3 minutes. If at any point during this practice you want to open your eyes or change positions, or even if you feel that you need to leave early, that's okay. If you choose to stay for the next 3 minutes, I'll give you some suggestions around coming out when it's time. And slowly starting to come back now, wiggling fingers and wiggling toes. Letting your head roll gently from side to side. Extending your arms up overhead, interlacing the fingers, pressing the palms away, taking a long stretch here, and release. And if it's comfortable for you, drawing the knees in towards the belly, rocking gently from side to side. In your own time, rolling over to rest now on the right side of the body if that's comfortable, the left side if you prefer. The lower arm is there to support the head and keep it in line with the rest of the spine. And from here, gently pressing up, finding a comfortable seated position on your mat, and we can close this practice together. Bringing the hands together in front of the heart and taking a moment to bow your head towards your heart. simply checking in. Noticing how you feel now in this moment after your practice. And I want to thank you for sharing your yoga practices with me this afternoon. Namaste.